talk to this person, you don't have to talk to this person. I mean, that's basically the way she's been raised. We're over in England, we're visiting this friend of mine. We're in a workshop over there. We got Alexandra with us, and we go, she's 5 maybe, 4, 4.5. We go to this Italian restaurant our friend wants to take us to, where he knows everybody in the restaurant. He's known them for years, little tiny restaurant. First the owner comes over. Alexander's sitting here, I'm sitting here, Tina's sitting here, and Peter's sitting here. And we're in like a back corner little table, very nice area. Most of the restaurants out here. The first one to come over to the table to see us is the owner of the restaurant. He's this big, tall, just gregarious Italian guy, and welcome to our, I mean, just huge. And Alexander just sat there and listened to him and smiled, and he didn't bother her a bit, as big as he was. The next guy came over and looked like a mafia hitman. I swear to God. You'd see him coming and think, I don't know why I never did anything this bad, but somebody has put a contract on me. And he talks to us and says hi and, shakes Alexander's hand, and she shakes his hand. And the last waiter's coming across the room. He's lean, very pleasant, very gentle, very soft-spoken guy. And as he gets close to the table, and I'm saying at least 5 yards here, Alexandra gets off her chair, gets in between her chair and me. She's got me next to her and her chair between her and this guy, and he's sweet with her. She wants no part of him. No part of him. We eat dinner, nothing said. Dinner's over. We go out. We're on the sidewalk. The minute we get out the door, I look at Peter, and Peter is in tears, sobbing, sitting on the little ledge in the window in front of this restaurant. I said, what the hell is going on, man? I mean, you have this great dinner, this great restaurant. I mean, the guy's out and sobbing. And he said, I just saw to be true what I always hoped to be true. He said, the third waiter has served time in prison in England for child molestation. My daughter knew that. He was the friendliest, softest, kindest looking of the 3 men. And my daughter knew that. And she got off the chair because she's always been told it's okay. You don't have to kiss anybody. You don't want to kiss. You don't have to sit in anybody's lap. You don't want to sit in. We're not going to do that to you. And now she can draw and trust her own intuitions with people. We watch her do that all the time. This is where, if we'd started there, think how different your life would be today. Sometimes when I wept tears of joy for my daughter, I'd weep tears of sadness for me. I think, why didn't I have me as a dad? How different would my life be today if I'd had me as a dad? If I had a father who could pick me up and hold me in his arms just once and tell me he loved me and that I was the most important thing in his life, and hold me to his chest in his arms. I never had that. My father wasn't capable of that, but my daughter has that. The dysfunction can stop here, right now. Never has to go on. Think about that. Got a lot of work to do? Yeah. But the dysfunction can stop. It can stop. Okay? Everybody cool?
Do you hold your inner child now?
You have to wait for him, otherwise it won't be on the tape for all the people that buy the tape. And I just do such a bad job of repeating questions.
Do you hold your inner child now?
Yeah, I hold my inner child now. My relationship with my inner child disintegrated a bit when Alexandra was born, because there was this other child that needed care. And then she took over. I had about 50 teddy bears or so, and she took over about 48 of them. And so my inner child got left out a lot when I had her. And then when I learned to let the child play with her, I could let my child out to play with her, it got better. With my inner child, our relationship is still somewhat strained because of my daughter, but not like it used to be, I mean, like I take more time for my daughter than I take for my inner child, even when we're apart. Whether it's on the phone or write her a letter from her hamster or, whatever it is that I'm up to, doing. But, yeah, I take time for my inner child. And I want to get closer to my inner child. You bet. My daughter, she's cool about me having an inner child. It's amazing how great they can be if they're Most of the bears have gone to shelters. On many Christmases, Alexandra and I have gone around the house, talked to the bears, and asked which one wanted to go to the shelter for battered women and children. And she'd say, well, she wants to go, Dad. It'd be one of my favorite bears, I said, okay. And then I look at one of my other favorite bears, and I knew that this bear wanted to go too. And we'd take 20, 30 bears down to the shelter for women and children and just give them away. And these were bears that meant something to us. But it's like process. What do you teach your kids? I want to teach her that there are people who need our help, and we need to help them without making them ask us to help them.
Bob, I want to thank you first because last night I showed you that tape I had when I first sobered up, and it's kind of personal in your life, but when I listened to you share in 1990, you and your wife shared a story about walking with your daughter in northern Arizona. And
sure.
At the time, I didn't know her name was Alexandria. I keep calling her Shasha. And you guys
what was her name then?
You guys were holding hands with her, and she looked at the moon, and she said, Sasha flying. And you guys looked at each other, and you guys both started having tears coming down your eyes. And you said something that was very important, that in her mind, she hasn't been damaged. In her mind, she can reach that moon. But also, I've listened to your older tapes before you met Tina, and I want to know, is your relationship with Tina, because I know how passionate you both were for one another and how tender you were, did that help with your process of recovering your child?
Well, yeah, sure. Sure, we're both right-brain people. So finding solutions and creating interesting environments for Alexandra, once we got the information, you understand, we would have been screwed as parents if we hadn't got information. The passion would have only made the dysfunction greater in the house. All right? So that, yes, our caring as deeply as... That is the one... let's lose this part for a second, Mark. So I've always been able to deal with her over the kid. And that's what it's about. If you're divorced and if you're separated, to be able to work it out with the children, the function must be the child. The focus must be the child. What's good for the child? And that's a hard one. Because it interferes with weekends I have planned. Well, she wants to see you. We're going to fly into, Palm Springs next weekend. How about we bring her on the plane and you pick her up? I think, oh, God, I got to go to the thing and it's going to be so much. Yeah, sure, bring her in. Going to change all my plans, Go get my squirt. So sometimes doing what's best for her is very inconvenient for me. It's good for me to do that. Okay? All right. Now, one thing we need to do here, apparently, is, for those of you who are unaware of 12-step programs, we do a thing called the seventh tradition, which is basically passing the basket for contributions to help support whatever it is we're doing. And I guess they had figured for more people than they got for this workshop, so they need to pass the baskets for a seventh tradition. And if you can afford it and you feel it was a good workshop, you got some benefit out of it, throw in a few extra bucks. If you were bored with the whole workshop, don't give them anything. Okay? Well, as we close, the first thing I want to do is acknowledge you for just showing up. It's very scary, it can be, to come to these things, and because you don't know, if you're like me, what to expect. I want to know up front. What are they going to say? What's he going to talk? What are we going to do? What are these folders for? So Mark is going to ask me to do that. So I just give you a lot of praise and acknowledgement for just showing up. showing up is a very, very healing thing. It's a great life motto. I still use it all the time. You know, I have a meeting today at the studio or something, and there's a real age discrimination in our industry. And I think, oh, do I want to go sit with those children again? You know, and it's like I just say, show up, Bob. Just show up. You know, and I should show up. That's it. So thank you for showing up. Thank you for having the courage to be willing to look at this stuff. And I say that because many of you are going to be the people, you know, around making the world that my daughter's going to live in. So I want you to certainly know that I am very grateful for your courage to look into these issues. Well, God bless you. Have a great Saturday evening.
Thank you very much, Bob.
And let's root for the Padres.